Hey everyone, look, if you're trying to navigate this massive AI infrastructure boom, you've probably seen that Astera Labs, ticker symbol ALA, just dropped their Q1 2026 numbers. Well, I've gone through the highly technical earnings call so you don't have to. In the next few minutes, I'm going to save you 2 solid hours and show you exactly why their new roadmaps make them an absolutely critical AI play right now. Let's get right into it.
Okay, we literally have to start right at the top with this massive number, 93%. That is Astera's year-over-year revenue growth for Q1. Think about that for a second. This isn't just some company waiting around for the AI wave. They are actively cashing in on it today. For busy investors who want to see actual execution, not just empty promises, this validates exactly why you need to pay attention to Astera's exploding role in the AI data center rollout. All right, here's our blueprint for today's explainer. First up, Q1 financials and momentum. Then we'll look at Scorpio, their 2026 growth engine. Third, the 2027 roadmap for optical and custom solutions. And finally, their massive evolution from a component supplier to a full-blown solution provider. Starting with Section 1, Q1 financials and momentum. So, the bottom line up front, Astera is executing big time. Q1 revenue came in at a massive $308.4 million, totally beating expectations. And this beat was driven straight by early-stage hyperscaler investments into AI infrastructure. But get this, their Q2 guidance, they're projecting revenue between $355 and $365 million. That's a super strong sequential quarter-over-quarter growth of 15 to 18%. The momentum here is literally accelerating as we speak. And you know what's crazy? They're pulling this off while keeping fantastic profitability. Their non-GAAP gross margin is sitting at 76.4%, which got a nice boost from a really favorable signal conditioning product mix. Operating margins? A very healthy 36.2%, giving them an EPS of 61 cents. Plus, they're just sitting on this massive war chest, $1.18 billion in cash and securities. So yeah, they have plenty of runway to fund all that future R&D. So what's actually physically driving all this current momentum? Well, it's deeply anchored in the data center industry's massive shift to PCIe Gen 6. This adoption is accelerating so fast, it already makes up over a third of Astera's total Q1 revenue. We're talking millions of PCIe Gen 6 ports shipped out. And right alongside that, their Taurus Ethernet smart cables are ramping up aggressively to handle the intense connectivity demands for GPUs and XPUs. Moving on to Section 2, Scorpio, the 2026 growth engine. Now let's translate some of these engineering specs into an actual investment thesis. Astera is basically using a dual-pronged attack on the AI fabric market. On one side, you have their Scorpio X line. This handles the heavy-duty, high-radix scale-up networking, essentially connecting massive AI clusters directly to each other, supporting up to 320 lanes with in-network compute engines. Then, on the other side, you have Scorpio P, which handles the scale-out connectivity for the broader data center network. So they've got both the deep AI computing clusters and the wider network pathways totally covered. And here's the metric that really has the big hyperscalers paying attention, 2x. Astera's flagship Scorpio X 320-lane switch can actually boost collective operations by up to 2 times. How? By physically offloading the network overhead directly onto the switch during these massive AI training and inferencing runs. And look, in the AI data center world, doubling efficiency like that is absolutely everything.
But what's truly interesting to me is just how fast management is pushing this to market. They've already moved from pre-production to an initial volume ramp in Q1. Mass production is totally locked in for the second half of 2026. And management confidently expects Scorpio to become their largest product line by late 2026, with the premium X series actually projected to surpass the P series in revenue. That is a wild pace.
Now, before we dive into 2027 and their optical roadmap, if you want to stay updated on the latest US stock market news, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I upload new explainers every week. Okay, Section 3, the 2027 roadmap covering optical and custom solutions. So the next era of data center connectivity is moving from copper to light. While 2026 is all about those Scorpio copper switches, 2027 is when we see the big transition to optics. We're going to see the rollout of NPO optical fiber couplers, CXL and KV cache systems, and U-Link standard technologies. And then, as we push into 2028, we hit mainstream co-packaged optics, or CPO, deployments. They're actually expanding their supply chain capabilities right now to capture this massive shift from copper to light.
Embedded in this roadmap is some highly lucrative custom solutions growth. Management explicitly called this a multi-billion-dollar market opportunity. They've already secured major design wins, like collaborating on NVIDIA Infusion scale-up architectures for hybrid racks, which are arriving in 2027. And on top of that, their Leo CXL controller won a custom design for KV cache offload. This is super important because it proves Astera's technology is successfully making that jump from basic general compute right into the massive AI inferencing market.
You know, you're also going to hear a lot about UA-Link moving into 2027. Let's just briefly define that. UA-Link 2.0 is an open, vendor-neutral standard that defines in-network compute and chiplets for AI scale-up platforms. By getting involved in these initial deployments, Astera Labs is positioning its technology right at the center of an open standard ecosystem, which drastically expands their total addressable market.
Now, to reassure investors, management was adamant about one key thing. The legacy Ares product line is not being cannibalized here. Even though Scorpio and custom optics are the flashy future, the Ares PCIe 6 is going to maintain strong growth and hold its leadership position, which is great because it'll keep throwing off steady cash to help fund all this incredible R&D.
All right, final section, number 4, component supplier to solution provider.
So the core investment thesis all boils down to this. Astera Labs is undergoing a massive evolutionary leap. In the past, they were just an I/O component supplier, selling individual pieces of hardware. But the future, they are an AI fabric solution provider. They're literally selling the complete interconnected nervous system for next-generation data centers, optimizing the hardware with their own diagnostics and performance software. And that's absolutely crucial right now, because as management pointed out on the call, AI deployments are finally entering their mass production and efficiency stages. The whole experimental phase, that's over. We need massive, commercial-grade scale now, and that demands higher radix, low-latency interconnects. By focusing entirely on removing these data bottlenecks, Astera Labs is perfectly positioned to capture escalating silicon dollar content per XPU in literally every new AI server rack being built. And that brings us to the most important part of this explainer. I want to hear from you. Question 1. What are your thoughts on Astera Labs' 2027 technology roadmap and this massive push into custom optical solutions? And question 2, which US stock or company should we explain next? Let me know down in the comments. I really do read them all, and it totally drives what we cover next. Thanks so much for diving into this with me, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.